I wanted my own autonomy. Essentially, I saw money as a way of just having my own independence. I didn't have a lot of faith that it was necessarily a good idea.
But you did it anyway.
If I can't get an idea out of my head, I generally think it probably is quite good.
Kim, welcome to the Femme and Fortune podcast.
Thank you for having me. I didn't break even. I lost money on that day, which is, to be fair, I expected that. I wasn't expecting to make money. Best way of ensuring I have the opportunity is to invest my money in the Humble Crumble. You're not just getting money, you're losing control.
But what does 8 million in revenue actually mean for the person who built the business? In a business with rent, staff, ingredients, energy costs, other costs, what does a founder in the food and drink industry actually walk away with? And what do founders build financially for themselves beyond the business? Now, if you're not already subscribed to the Femme and Fortune podcast, hit the subscribe button now so you never miss an episode. And don't forget to sign up for my weekly wealth newsletter and join thousands of people who read it weekly. Link is in the description. Kim, welcome to the Femme and Fortune podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Absolute pleasure. Really, really excited to have you here. I mean, I was going to say, I don't want to say it because I want people to find out later, but I love crumble. I absolutely love crumble. So happy to have you. I was telling you before that my mother-in-law makes a mean apple crumble and it is just divine. So yeah, your product speaks to my heart. So now I've given it all away and everyone knows what you do, but we will start at the beginning because I think what's really interesting with your story is people often assume that those who go into business have business backgrounds, or if you go into finance, often they expect you to have that kind of background. But you studied English literature at Brighton, is that right?
That's true.
So not business, not finance, not hospitality at all. But then you spotted a gap in the market. I think it was that you noticed that during winter, all the ice cream shops were closed and sort of thinking, what could they be selling instead?
Yeah.
And then you did something about it, right? And I think what's really interesting is so many of us have ideas and we sit at home and we're like, what about this? What about this? But people don't act on it. What is it that made you one of those people who actually had the idea, but then did something about it? Like, what is it about you?
Humble Crumble was essentially my fourth business. But it's the first one that I really wanted to keep going with. When I was growing up, had no idea what I wanted to do. It used to stress me out quite a lot, actually. I was like, I don't want to be a doctor. I don't want to be a lawyer. I don't want to be a teacher. What do I want to do? Mm-hmm. But the thing that I always enjoyed doing was, I guess, trying to figure out how to make money. I was always kind of interested in how could I spend the least amount of time doing something but make the most amount of money.
Oh my gosh, love that. Yep.
So my first job was actually being a cleaner for my friends and also family, where I think I was earning like £10 an hour, which, 16, 17 years ago was actually quite a decent hourly wage. Mm-hmm. As soon as I finished my GCSEs, I became a tutor. So then I doubled my income to £20 an hour.
Were you still cleaning at that point?
I decided better to do the tutoring rather than the cleaning because I was getting twice the amount of money. Yep. When I was at university, I actually made a tutoring agency there where I got other students and I got them tutoring work and I took a commission from their work. Mm-hmm. I ended up doing that throughout university, but I didn't really enjoy it long term. So I decided to stop doing that. But that was when I was earning then like £50-60 an hour rather. So I was just like always trying to see how I could make more money. Yep. I kind of found it quite fascinating, but then I didn't have the passion that went alongside it. Mm-hmm. So that's why I stopped. And amongst other things, I set up a soap business because
At university as well?
I was at university too. It was more
so clearly your degree was not hard enough because you had time to do these things and actually did them.
Yeah, I mean, actually, when I was at university, some of my flatmates were like, I asked them if they could help me like leaflet for my tutoring business, and they were like, "Why are you doing this?" I was like, "I'm really interested in seeing if this will work. Like, if people will get tutoring from university students because they've just been there and just done it, so they actually potentially have better understanding than someone who hasn't sat an exam for 15, 20 years." Mm-hmm. But it was just, I think, more out of curiosity than anything. And I liked the idea of trying to make my own money as soon as possible.
And where do you think that entrepreneurial spirit came from? Because as you said, you'd had several businesses before Humble Crumble. You would,
not that successful, I should say, but
still, like the fact that you started businesses, there's obviously something inside you that
I think it came from the two places. I think one, I hated asking for money. Like I got as a child, I would get 25p a week as my allowance. And I was like, I can barely buy anything with this.
I was about to say, it's 25p a week.
Yeah, I mean, this was probably one of my first allowances, and it did go up, but I always remember feeling like this isn't enough money. And every time I'd ask my parents for money, it'd always be like, oh, why do you need it? What's it for? And I just hated that feeling.
So you wanted your own.
I wanted my own money. I wanted my own autonomy. Essentially, I saw money as a way of just having my own independence. And then my brother, he actually is about 9 years older than me, and he trained to become a mechanic. And whilst he was after he trained to become a mechanic, he got a job in a mechanic shop, and then would work really long days fixing cars. And then he would come home, and then he would fix cars for people on the side. So he was building his own business on the side whilst working full time. And I think because I was 9 years younger, I was, in the living room watching TV, but also seeing him behind me in the driveway fixing cars, and I was
getting money. And you're
getting
like,
money,
hey.
exactly. But I saw him be able to, get enough clients, save enough money to be able to open his own garage, and I saw what it took to start a business, and it was just a series of small steps, and a lot of time and a lot of sacrifice in many ways. But now he runs a very successful mechanic business, which is great. And so I think wanting my own money, to have my own autonomy, and then having a good example of the fact that actually you can make money in other ways than being employed.
And so I guess your brother was quite a big inspiration then. And what about your parents? Are they entrepreneurial?
No, they're not. They are. They've just been employed.
Okay.
By most people, but
yeah.
I mean, it sounded like that was bad. It's not.
No,
but they were not entrepreneurial.
Most of us who are working are employed.
Yes.
But what I wanted to know is, because what I've found with a lot of my guests who started companies is there was a trigger. And it's usually at some point in their childhood, there was something that either encouraged them, inspired them, or pushed them, or sometimes a combination of the two. For everybody, it's been different. But what I'm finding there's always that spark in childhood. And from what you said, it seems like it was your brother. So you saw him being entrepreneurial. You always had this desire to have your own money because it gives you that independence and autonomy. You went to university, you dabbled in various other businesses. At what point did you think, I'm onto something here with Humble Crumble?
I had the idea when I was 21. Didn't do anything with it until I was 23, and I was made redundant from...
And how did you come up with the idea, actually?
I was standing outside of an ice cream shop in the middle of winter, and they didn't have any customers. And I just thought, what a waste of rent. And, the people that are standing and waiting for customers, I thought there has to be something different. What could they do in the winter that's the opposite of ice cream? And because I've made crumble for my family since I was about 10 years old, pretty much made one a week. I think crumble was part of my soul. It just kind of came to me as a light bulb moment. I was like, why don't they put crumbles in small cups and people can walk around, eat the crumbles, and it will heat them up. So that's where the idea came from.
But when you think about it, I'm like, sounds so obvious and simple. Yeah, why can't we buy hot desserts?
That was also a thought process I had. I was like, there must be a reason this hasn't been done. I was like, this must be a bad idea. Someone else has probably thought of this before me and it's not worked out. But I did so much research and I couldn't find anything like what I had envisaged. I looked into it. I realized how expensive it would be to start a cafe.
Okay.
So I just, I was like, I'm 21 years old. I'm graduating from university. I can't do this. I don't have enough experience anyway. I don't know the first thing about running a hospitality business.
Despite all of your sort of entrepreneurial dabblings, if you call it, before that, you still felt that you didn't know enough.
I felt like I didn't know enough to be able to create a permanent structure.
Okay.
So with all my business ideas, I like a lot of flexibility. And that's one of the reasons why I started in a market stall rather than, investing in a food truck, because I was like, I don't know what equipment I need. I don't know where it needs to go. I don't know what my customers want. I don't know I want to move stuff around. And so I like that, I guess, the flexibility that starting small and figuring that stuff out gave me, rather than, all into a bakery fit out, which now I know costs so much money. So, I wouldn't have been able to do it anyway. It's just crazy to me how much it all costs. And so
You wanted that flexibility because there were so many unknowns, I guess, at that point.
And previously I'd been essentially just running service-based businesses. So there were really low costs and like high profit straight away pretty much. And this would have been upfront costs, unknown profit. Because Humble Crumble was the world's first crumble bakery, there also wasn't a blueprint to follow. There was just a lot of guesswork and trial and error in trying to figure out what the best setup is, what the best equipment was. And, we're still constantly changing things because we're like, there's a better way of doing this.
I guess that's almost the price of innovation. When you are first and there is no blueprint, you will make mistakes and you have to do trial and error because no one has gone before you.
Yeah. I mean, it kind of sucks now when people copy us and I'm like, you're getting all of this for free. But
go through the pain I went through.
Exactly.
So you said you started out in a market stall. So you've graduated university. Did you start straight away, or is there something else that you did between leaving university and actually, going to have that stall?
Yeah, I did a ski season in France where I was a restaurant manager.
Was that deliberate to try and get experience or just coincidence?
It was a bit of both. I also felt like when I left university, I'd worked really hard to get my degree and I'd also been running another business. And I kind of felt like I should just have a bit of fun. It ended up not being much fun because Brexit happened, or it was announced, and the pound lost a lot of value against the euro. And so the company I was working for cut 30% of the workforce. Oh. So we ended up having to do a lot more work for less money, I guess. Yeah, I went and I thought it would be good to have fun, but also would be in the relevant industry. So should I want to start Humble Crumble, I'd have a bit more experience. And I actually think it was really useful to have that experience. I came back from France, became a marketing intern for a company called Grub Club, which was actually, I think, the first supper club ticketing company. Within, I think it was 9 months, they got acquired by a larger business. And so then I was made redundant. So it was at that point of being made redundant that I kind of had this moment where I was like, I still can't get Humble Crumble out of my head. I can't set up a cafe, but what can I do that's going to be the smallest version of that? And I read the book, The Lean Startup, which basically just says, put an idea out there, test it, get feedback on it, tweak it, and then put that idea out there and keep having this feedback loop from your customers. And so that kind of took a lot of anxiety away from me around starting the business. And so, that's what I did. I went and sat up in a farmer's market on a Saturday in Primrose Hill.
Oh, near me.
Is it? Oh, that's nice.
So do you think if you hadn't have been made redundant that you would have done it? Or do you think it was also a bit of opportunity and just the fact that you then were like, okay, well, I'm unemployed now. Maybe this is the time. Or do you think it was always burning away in you and you would have done it eventually anyway?
I didn't love being a marketing intern. Challenging to try and anticipate what somebody else would want from me, from my work, and I say this sometimes where I don't know how employable I am because I feel like my output is measured over time rather than like a daily output.
Okay.
I don't know if that makes sense, but I think sometimes when you're an employee, like, show me what you did today. And I'm like, I think I'm a creative person. So I think it just, I think it takes a bit longer. Someone told me once the most addictive thing is a monthly salary. And so I think in the sense of being made redundant early on, I wasn't earning a high salary anyway. I think I felt like I just didn't have much to lose. And I think that was a good position to maybe start a business from. Whereas I think, if I've been working for the last, 10 years and I was doing well in my career and I was earning a high salary, I don't know that I would have given it up to start Humble Crumble.
Because then you have more to sacrifice or more to lose, as you said.
Exactly.
Yeah, I've been there myself. And I think the thing that can make a difference if you do have a career or something that you think, oh my gosh, what if I lose this, is building some kind of safety net. So I think it's either you don't have anything to lose and you jump in and you go for it, or you build some kind of safety net and then you go for it such that if it doesn't work out, well, I can always come back to X or Y or something like this. Yeah. But I guess for you didn't have that. So you're completely unencumbered, completely free.
Yeah. I also think I didn't have that much self-confidence. I didn't know really that I had many skills for a workplace. I don't know. My degree isn't very useful for the workplace unless I become like a lawyer or a teacher, is what I was told.
And really? Someone told you that? Because I don't know. I thought that in this country, it doesn't really matter what you study. Like you can study anything and still apply for a job anywhere.
I do think that's true. I mean, I barely look at people's degrees when I look at their CVs.
I mean, you look at universities, but you don't really look at what they study. It's like, do you have a degree?
Do you have a degree?
Yes or no? And I think that's becoming less and less important.
I agree. I don't know how important degrees are unless you're wanting to be super specialized in something. I mean, it's useful for life experience for sure, and just independence, and also learning how to learn more independently, I guess. I'd like to work. I think I just be like, I like to work for myself and have myself to be accountable to myself. But in terms of like, the idea around starting Humble Crumble, I didn't have a lot of faith that it was necessarily a good idea. But
you did it anyway.
But I did it anyway. And I think as part of it was because I was like, I would hate to walk past the same idea and regret not doing it. I think I was thinking that would be one of the worst feelings if I could see this being successful.
So even though you weren't at that point convinced it would work, the thing that was driving you was, if I see someone else do this, I'm going to be annoyed.
Yeah.
So even if it doesn't work, even if I don't think it will work at this point, I still have to try.
Yeah. I also think as I've gotten older and get an idea out of my head, I generally think it probably is quite good. But at that time, I didn't have that life experience. I was also telling people, like, I have this idea, and I didn't want to be one of those people that just said it and didn't do anything with it. Because I think it's so easy to be like, what's a great idea? And then like, okay, what are you going to do about it? So I just felt like
if I'm going to talk the talk, I wanted to
start it to either prove to myself that it either would work or that it wouldn't, so that I could put it to bed or
one way or other.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay, so you got this stall in this farmer's market. I'm assuming you were not inundated with customers.
No.
So yeah, tell us about it. What happened?
Day one was an interesting day because I was so excited. I was like, this is going to be the time where I show the world what I'm going to do. And I set up my gazebo, which I had to, have a hand-painted sign as well that said Crumble Bar on it, because I was doing alcohol-infused crumbles to begin with. Because I thought
alcohol-infused crumbles?
Yeah, like a cider apple crumble and like a gin and rhubarb crumble.
Okay.
I thought that
wouldn't the heat kill the alcohol?
It would kill the alcohol, but it was more around flavor.
Okay.
Like how it would add to the flavor. I realized quickly that people didn't want an alcohol-infused crumble and then with hindsight, I realized it's because people found the concept of a crumble bar already like confusing because they hadn't seen it before. So then adding in that layer of the alcohol just made it even more confusing to people.
And what was a crumble bar?
So a crumble bar is, in my sense, is like you have a sushi bar, a place that you can go get crumble. But then because I was doing alcohol infused crumbles, I thought crumble bar makes sense. Exactly. It takes some time to figure it out.
Okay.
And so no one wants to take the time to figure something out. So yeah, I made £60 on my first day, which was basically
it's not nothing.
I didn't break even. I lost money on that day, which is, to be fair, I expected that. I wasn't expecting to make money. But yeah, it was just interesting to me to see that people just didn't understand the concept.
So then what did you do?
I changed the concept. So I took away the alcohol. I also invested in social media because I thought even a crumble specific place is confusing enough because people aren't used to seeing them. So I guess I was like, I just have to keep being here and I have to keep putting messages out there about the business and what it was online.
And what you say you started to post on social media, was that all organic? Because I'm assuming you didn't have money for like ads or anything like that.
All organic, yeah.
Day one, couple of customers, you make £60. You realize that what you went out with is not working. So you pivot, which is, classic from the book you mentioned. Day two, day three, week two, week three. At what point did you start to see a meaningful change and think that you were onto something?
It did take 2 years to see meaningful change, but I wasn't full-time with the business. I was doing weekend markets. So my first market was just Saturdays between 10 and 2. And that was for about 8 weeks. And then I was looking for a new space, and I wouldn't have a new space for maybe a month or so because all the food markets in London are full. There are so many food traders out there, so many businesses that have been out there for a long time that new spaces are really hard to come by. But they do have guest spots when people go on holiday, for instance. So I would take guest spots at different markets, but they weren't always consistent, which was always an issue that I found with the business. I was like, I'm putting all this time and trying to sell this crumble, but unless I'm in one specific place, I'm not going to build a client base. But I still kind of wasn't able to get a full-time spot anywhere. I tried.
Okay. Yeah. And were you working somewhere else whilst you were doing this? Because if you were only doing this on like weekends, what were you doing during the week?
I was tutoring.
Okay. Oh, so you kept that going.
I kept that going because it was.
You need income.
I need income. Also, I was earning more money an hour doing tutoring that I could do like a couple of hours of tutoring a day, and I'd be earning more than I would be in my job working 8 hours a day.
Out of curiosity, then, why didn't you progress with the tutoring business if it was earning you? Why didn't you progress with the tutoring business if you were earning so much from it and it was something that you enjoyed, but you still persisted with the crumble?
I enjoyed it, but I didn't enjoy it enough.
Okay.
I didn't want that to be my career. And also I knew that if I wanted to scale it, I would be less with teaching the kids, and I'd be more with the administration behind trying to get more like clicks on an ad. Or
so you'd be taken away from the bit that you actually loved if you were to scale.
Yeah.
What happened at that 2-year point that made you think, okay? And also, what kept you going? Because 2 years is quite a long time.
So what kept me going was the lean startup. I was like, this business, I haven't proven, it hasn't had the right set of, tests to prove that it isn't a good business. Mm-hmm. Because when I started, it was in a 10.2 market, which actually, to be honest, it was a farmer's market, people buying their produce. It's not really the place to sell crumbles. The other places I couldn't get, I did a lot better at the weekend markets, like in Maltby Street, for instance, which is an all-day food market. But every week I would be in a different position in the market.
Mm-hmm. So people can't find you.
I couldn't find me. So I was like, there's a reason why this isn't growing. Mm-hmm. I could always point to a reason. Mm-hmm. And as long as I could point to a reason that, if it could be fixed, I didn't want to give the business up.
I love that.
When I was doing a guest spot at South Bank Centre food market, they came up to me and said, do you want to do our Christmas market, which is a 2-month pop-up along the South Bank River? I was like, absolutely. This is my opportunity to try something every day for 2 months. Mm-hmm. This is my first
and
real
in winter.
Business. Yeah. In winter, I'll have to hire a team. I'll have to figure out all the production. This is a proper business that, that is a test. Like it will end and I can reevaluate at the end.
Either it goes well and you continue, or you learn some things and it doesn't go well, but either way,
Exactly. Mm-hmm. So I started that, and actually we were the busiest stall in the market. And we had queues and queues and queues. And in that pop-up, I made £60,000.
Over 2 months?
Over 2 months.
Amazing. And how much did you put in? Like, what did it cost you to set that up?
So the rent for that was £10,000. I can't remember the other stuff. I just remember the rent.
Did you walk away with a profit from that?
I think I walked away with about £10,000 to £15,000 profit.
So I guess that was your moment. That was like, okay, I have been testing this thing for a long time, but as you said, there was always a reason that you could point to as to why it didn't work. Yeah. And then you had, I guess, what you could have sort of proper shot at it. And yeah, that's a pretty decent outcome.
Yeah, it was good because people actually wanted the product and it was great. And one of the traders there said, you're doing really well here. Why don't you open a Spitalfields Market? I think your product would do really well there. Mm-hmm. So I applied to the market. At the same time, actually, someone from the market saw a social media post that we had done and said to the team, I think we should invite these people to apply. So it was, I guess, good timing. Serendipity. Exactly. I got the space, but I opened in this 2x2 meter wooden stall, which was going to be a year contract. So 7 days a week, 1 year. I got my first permanent space after 2 years of trying to find one. And then 3 days later, I had to close because of the lockdown.
Oh.
Yeah.
Life.
I know. I also invested all of the money from my profit from the pop-up along the South Bank into that. And I was
Could you get any of it back?
It was more like equipment and like branding and things like that. So I still had the assets, but.
So what did you do over lockdown then? Because you can't be out there selling crumble.
I didn't have any time off during the lockdown, actually. I put out about a post on a community page on Facebook saying, does anyone want baking ingredients? Because all of my suppliers have like eggs, they've got flours, they've got milk. They can't sell it to the supermarkets and the supermarket shelves are bare. And within an hour or two, I had 50 orders from people. And that I felt like I was like, I've created a business where I didn't intend to create a business. And it's been like probably the most successful business in the shortest amount of time.
Is that entrepreneurial spirit?
I guess so.
Yeah.
It's all about like a problem that you can fix, isn't it? Entrepreneurship. But
so that's what you were doing during lockdown?
That's what I was doing during lockdown. So I was getting my deliveries from my suppliers, and then I was using just in my car, just driving around, delivering like commercial sized equipment, like fairy liquid, like in I think it was like a 5-liter bottle.
Okay.
So it was quite funny, like delivering to this like elderly woman who was like holding this big bottle down. I was like, do you want some help with that? And she's like, no, it's fine.
So Humble Crumble basically took a bit of a pause during lockdown, and then you...
Yeah, I actually did it via my Humble Crumble website though, because I had the opportunity to be able to sort of create a shop.
Okay.
And then some people were like, can you make us some crumbles as well? So
I was still directing traffic. So you didn't completely pause it.
Yeah, I always want the good press, you know.
And then was it after lockdown and things opened up again that you're like, okay, right, let me get back to what I want to do?
Yeah, I think I had the year contract with Spitalfields. And I do kind of think that if I didn't have that contract, I probably would have given up. Because I think at that point I would have been like, it's just been really hard. But I had the contract. I also, as I said, I didn't really feel like I had that many skills to go into the workplace. Also, I didn't really know there were any
selling
jobs.
Yourself short, by the way.
No, I'm just not someone who's had a lot of confidence.
Okay.
I'm just being honest.
Yeah.
Like I know now that I have lots of skills and I would, be a great asset to any team. But at the time, I just didn't feel that way.
It. Fair enough.
So I was like, I guess I need to go back to Humble Crumble and I just stand in Spitalfields Market and make crumble and sell it. But there were no customers. It was an empty market when we got back. And I decided to change my entire operation from using a commercial kitchen one day a week where I'd make everything to getting rid of that kitchen and bringing ovens, fridges, mixers into this 2x2 meter wooden store. And
how?
Tetris. Honestly, Tetris. I also had only one socket worth of electricity. Like that's all the market would give me. So I'd have to unplug stuff. I'd have to unplug the oven to plug in my kettles to keep the crumble warm, etc. So I was playing this game of like tag. It's actually kind of funny because I met my fiance who runs a company called Chai Guys, who's also in the market. And one of the first conversations we had was about electricity. So I was like, how do you do anything with one plug? And he was like, well, I asked for more. I have 9 plugs. And I was like, you have 9 plugs?
How long did it take you when you realized that he had 9 plugs and you still had one, like plugging everything out?
Literally, like the next day, I was like, give me some more electricity. And that was one of my, I didn't have a lot of confidence. And one of the things I realized is you just have to ask for things. You have to
ask for things, yeah.
So it's not that there wasn't more electricity to be given. I just, that's all I hadn't asked for more.
So then how did you get the business to grow? Because even after lockdown ended and you went back to Spitalfields, as you said, there was nobody there. So again, you carried on.
I carried on. Well, I reduced my costs. Spitalfields were giving us free rent. So the cost of actually going forward wasn't that high. I was just employing myself at that time. I decided to try and, again, really like push the marketing side of things. And that's where I decided to create monthly specials. So the idea around the monthly specials was I'd spoken to another trader who had done really well on social media. And she was saying that the specials were the things that drive the customers there because it gives that scarcity.
What do you mean by specials?
So like a tiramisu crumble that's on for 1 month.
Okay. Like limited edition.
Limited edition, exactly. But it's also like something that looks incredible, will taste incredible. And because it's limited edition, you're like, I have to come down within this time frame.
I get it, yeah.
And that actually did move the needle for us. I say us, it was me. I'm so used to saying that we and us. It was just me at that time.
Me, myself, and I.
Me, myself, and I. Great company.
So you started off with these specials?
I started off with specials, and it was my third special that I did, which was a pumpkin crumble.
And that's the one that went viral?
Yeah, pumpkin, yeah. That's the one that went viral.
Okay. And when you say went viral, like what are we talking about here? Like what sort of numbers?
Well, I'll tell you the story of how it happened. I was in Spitalfields Market. I had a couple of pumpkins because I wasn't expecting a big day. And it was just a sunny Sunday. And suddenly someone came, can I have a crumble? Can I have a pumpkin crumble? And I was like, yeah, okay, you can have a pumpkin crumble. And then someone else came up to me and said, can I have a pumpkin crumble? And I was like, sure. But like, this is an empty market. I'm like, why are all these people coming? And then I had a queue build up of about 50 people in an empty market because it was COVID. And I was like, this is amazing, but why are you here? And it turned out that Time Out had posted about us a picture of the pumpkin crumble, but they didn't get our tag right. So I didn't get the notification.
So
and
I had no idea.
I had no idea. I had like 10 pumpkins and a queue of 50 people. And I was like, you guys, some of you are going to have rhubarb. I'm sorry. But what I think happened is during the time period of COVID, as you'll remember, restaurants weren't allowed to be open. Open air markets were a place you could go to, and you could go for like COVID walks. So we were one of the few places in London that could be open. So Time Out didn't have a lot to talk about, but they talked about us. Lots of people were online on their phones, so they had the time to figure out, click through.
And why not go for a walk to Spitalfields?
And why not go for a walk and go and get a crumble? Yeah. And it's also a time of like loneliness. And crumbles are very nostalgic family dessert. And so I think it really struck a chord with people. And that kind of led to this snowball effect of people coming, taking pictures, videos, sharing it with loved ones, influencers coming down. Because also it was a new concept, new but familiar.
Yep.
And so I think it just did so well for people who were posting about it online that it just encouraged more people to come down and post about it. I can't tell you the numbers because Instagram didn't give me the numbers at that point. Now you all know what your views are, but I think it was like, you know, probably getting like 50 million views a month or something crazy. Wow. I'm pulling that number out of thin air kind of, but I'm just like, that's what my estimate is. Yeah. But it was like, because it wasn't just in London, it wasn't just in the UK. It went not everywhere around the world, but lots of places around the world saw this. And, you know, we still have people being like, I saw this during 2020 and I've now come to London and I can't wait to have this. It's like,
oh, I love that.
Yeah, it's been really lovely.
So that was your moment. And I guess at that point, a 2x2 wooden stall is not enough. No. So how did you expand?
So I quickly hired some people. Spitalfields were able to give me a small kitchen space. And so I would still produce everything from the kitchen space and then bring it over to 2x2 meter stall. And then I was like, enough is enough. I can't do it from here anymore. So then they gave me a bigger space. And actually we've moved 4 times within Spitalfields to bigger spaces. And now we're in a 2,000 square foot bakery.
And you're still there?
In Spitalfields? Yes, we're still there.
Amazing. I love it. So the place where you kind of started, you're still there, but you've just grown and grown and grown.
Grown and grown and grown.
Yeah. Now, I think you kind of alluded this yourself earlier when we spoke, that running a product-based business is very costly. So I know that, or I've read online that you haven't actually taken any outside funding, that you've essentially just reinvested all of the profits that you have from the business. Why have you not taken any outside funding? And what has that meant for you? I guess there are pros and cons.
We've had a lot of offers of investment, like a lot of offers. It's almost like just too much to, like, the same thing with like franchises. We get so many people asking us if we can franchise. It's like, we can't even look at these requests because there's too many. I guess it's like to do with the financial autonomy. It kind of goes back to that. Like, I like the idea of being able to make decisions about the business based on what I want to do with it or what I think is best, rather than getting an investor involved who's looking for the best return. And I think I've always wanted to create the best product I can, which means having expensive ingredients. I also want to hire people and pay them a fair wage. And I think an investor, not all investors, I think the right investor would be on board with it, but most investors, or private equity specifically, they're always looking to make their return on investment. So
which means cutting costs.
How do you cut costs? Yeah. Exactly. And I also was really lucky in the sense that my partner, my fiance, was helping me at the time understand the finances of it, because it was not actually been my area of expertise, is like the P&L, definitely not. And he was telling me, actually, you know, if you want to grow, you don't have to take on investment, you can take on debt. And so we did asset finance for some of the equipment, some of the joinery that we did. So we were paying this stuff off over time so that we had a good cash flow in the business.
So explain asset finance to us.
You know, we have a soft serve machine that makes our frozen custard. It's about £10,000. We can buy that in cash, or we can set up an agreement with a company. We'll pay that off over 5 years and give them interest on that. So we'll be paying maybe £12,000 for the ice cream machine overall, but over time. So it means that we can use the cash that we get from the business to, we got cash in the bank basically.
Yeah, because you don't need to spend your cash like buying all this equipment up front if you have these agreements with, for example, the equipment providers.
Yeah. The other thing I will just say about my business is that when I went viral, I obviously wasn't paying any rent to Spitalfields. And I would buy ingredients in the morning. I would make crumble, and then I would sell those ingredients. And so I didn't have a long, I guess is it cash flow runway or something. Whereas like, I'm not sure I'm explaining it properly, but I know that like fashion businesses will have to buy their stock like 6 to 9 months in advance, have to pay that money, and then they can't sell it for 6 to 9 until 6 to 9 months later.
Whereas you were buying things, selling it pretty much straight away.
Yeah. So as I was buying something, I'd get the money back the same day. So that also helped in being able to not take on investment. But yeah, I also just didn't feel like we needed it.
I don't know. Some people might say that, you know, when you take on outside investment, you have more capital, so it helps you to grow faster. Have you found that's been the case for you or no?
Oh my gosh, if we took on investment, we'd have been able to grow a lot faster.
But it's not something that has appealed to you, or you're not willing to sacrifice the loss of autonomy and control for the growth?
You know, I want to make sure the product at the end of the day is really good. And I think if you're growing really, really, really quickly, it's hard. It's not impossible, but I think it's hard to make sure that the quality doesn't slip when your attention's spread. So if we open 10 shops in a year, you know, the quality may not be as good if we didn't have the right team in place to ensure that. And I think, you know, in my opinion, all good things take time, but I also look at some businesses now that have taken on investment and they're doing so well and they've got great teams. And I'm like, that's amazing. I think there's also like a risk appetite with me where I'm like, it's just a bit daunting, the idea of that. But then there's also, I don't know, there's so many thought processes behind it. I'm like, I want Humble Crumble to stay special. And I think with that, it's like a lot of love and attention to every new opening we do, and also making sure that they're the right openings. So for instance, a huge part of a bakery or a hospitality business success will be where it's opening. And the really good locations take a really long time to come about. And we're opening in James Street, just next to Selfridges. And that's a site we've been looking at for 3 years.
And again, all of these openings, the 10 stalls, all done without any external funding. So just from revenue you've generated.
Yes, it's 6 bakeries. So
6 bakeries that you have.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Well, it will be 6 when we open.
So I read online that you have around sort of you're doing around £8 million of revenue. What does the bottom line look like though? Because, you know, as we've already discussed, it's very costly to operate a services business. As we've discussed, it's very expensive to operate a product-based business. So what is left at the end? And if you're putting everything back into the business, what are you getting for yourself?
Well, I do take an income from the business, but I guess I just take I take more than what I need because I have a mortgage to pay now, so I've got to pay my mortgage.
You're making, say, around 8 million of revenue.
Yeah.
But I'm assuming a lot of that goes to costs.
Yeah.
So how much is there left actually for the business at the end to reinvest, and then also for yourself?
Fine. Okay. So I guess it depends on if we have any growth opportunities. And as I said, it can take a really long time to find the right opportunities. So last year we made, this is like our 2025 accounts, which are public information. We made 6 million in revenue and we made £1 million in profit.
Okay.
I don't want to make £1 million in profit. I want to be reinvesting that money, but we didn't have any openings. We didn't have anything to put that into because there just wasn't any good opportunities.
Okay. So, but if you had the opportunity, you would have reinvested
that money. Okay. Yeah.
And I guess you said that you are paying yourself like a salary from the business, and that's enough to cover your day-to-day costs and your mortgage. Like, you're not interested in taking any money out now?
Not at the moment, no.
Is that because you see the long-term potential of this business, and I guess ultimately you believe that most of the value will come when it gets much bigger?
I've always been interested in investing money. And I think investments are long-term rather than short-term. I want to have, with money, And my viewpoint always on around having money, my motivations around having money is always about having opportunity to do whatever I want at any time. And the best way of ensuring I have the opportunity is to invest my money. And currently the best place for me to invest my money is in Humble Crumble.
So something that I've seen with a lot of founders actually is that they don't take much out of the business at all for this very reason, because they want to put the money back in so that the company can grow. But then you have all your eggs in one basket. Mm-hmm. Everything is in Humble Crumble. If you're not building an investment portfolio or something on the side, you've gone all in. And I totally get that, right? I've been a founder, and you kind of have to have that mindset, right? You believe that your thing is the thing and it's going to, be very successful. And you're already getting those indications.
Yeah.
But have you ever thought about the fact that you have so much concentrated risk and so much dependent on this business?
I've been building my portfolio outside of Humble Crumble for a very long time.
You are a rare breed, because most entrepreneurs don't. So tell us about it. What have you been building?
Honestly, just my ISA, my stocks and shares ISA. And I have had a strange upbringing in the sense that one of the things I used to talk to my dad about most was like taxes.
Oh, really?
And,
was that driven by you?
It was driven by me in the sense that I think my dad's really interested in he's really interested in investing and like tax savings, etc. that you can do. For instance, there's like a £3,000 a year gift that you can give to, I think, your children that's inheritance tax free, and my dad will give us £3,000 a year because he's planning for his inheritance. It's so funny to me. I'm like, just live your life, And I just think it was a real way of me just like bonding with him as a child, was just asking him questions about stuff.
And girls don't do that often. Like, if there is a kind of thing in the family home where children are being spoken to about money and investing, it's usually with the son. So I love that you had that with your dad.
Yeah, I'd ask him these questions. He's never someone to give a financial advice. So he'd never tell you like what to invest in, but he'd explain to me like, you have an ISA, and if you get an allowance every year, you should try and use that allowance. And he was like, and ideally never take money out of your ISA. I've always found that a bit strange though. It's being like, don't take money out of your ISA because you'll lose all the tax-free gains in it. I'm like, it's just going to be a pot that grows and you never do anything with it. But anyway,
he's not wrong. If you don't have to take the money out,
then don't.
The benefit of compounding over all of those years, like compounding works best over a long time frame, and it works best the more money's in it. So if you don't have to take any out, absolutely leave it, because then it will grow faster.
I think so I've been trying to like make my own money for as long as possible, but I haven't really been spending a lot of money. Again, I've just been like saving as much as I can. I remember it's funny, I remember this vague fact, which was like, if you spend if you spend £1 a year on chocolate bars, you spend £365 a year. And I was like, that's so much money. That's a chocolate bar every day. So not that I was having that many chocolate bars, but I would be like, I'm not going to have a chocolate bar. I'm going to save that £1 for something. It's just a mindset I had from like, honestly, when I was like 12 or 13, it was like a long time.
But the mindset I found, I'd probably go as far as to say it's the most important piece.
Yeah.
Without the mindset, it is very, very difficult for people to build meaningful long-term wealth.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're definitely onto something.
But I completely agree with you. It would be, I think, foolish for me to have all my eggs in Humble Crumble's basket, because, even the pandemic showed us how fragile things are. Hospitality is an industry struggling right now with all the costs that are associated with it. And, we're also feeling the impact of that. And so you need to have more than...
So you said that you have a stocks and shares ISA that you invest in, and I'm assuming on a regular basis. So the money that you invest, I'm assuming that comes from the salary that you take from Humble Crumble.
Yeah.
So you're paying yourself enough to live comfortably, cover your bills, but also make sure that you have this investment portfolio.
Yeah. I mean, it's not just me, it's my partner as well. Like, we're very specific with what we do with our money. And, we make goals together about how much a year we want to save and put away into our ISAs. And it's like, we like to do the monthly direct debit from, our income. So we don't even
straight
see
into
the money,
your investment account.
and it's being automatically invested. We're not thinking about, are we buying in the low or in the high? And it's just over time. And we've seen that really have a massive
What
impact.
you were saying is literally like music to me. It is the thing that I stress to people so often. Like, investing doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't have to take up time. You set it up, you automate it every single month. As you said, the money comes out by direct debit. You've pre-selected something. It goes, it's building wealth for you in the background, but it's so, so, so important to have. Yeah. But so many people don't do it, and particularly founders, because they're always like, oh, but if I just take that bit of money for the company, then, maybe the company can move forward. It can grow more. But I think the setup you have, as I said, I don't see it often, but it's absolutely the one that I would have as well.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, like, I'm trying to convince my 19-year-old, no, she's 20 now, my 20-year-old niece, I set up her ISA. And I was like, even if it's, like £20 a month, do it. Because by the time you're 30, you might, when you wanted to buy a property, you'll be surprised by how much that will grow if you keep investing in it.
Absolutely.
I think FD has also like a compound interest tracker that's like quite fascinating, that you can see, like, if I save X amount a year, how much will it be by like
the thing that I find though is two things. I find that, like, as people, particularly the younger generations, actually our generation as well. Well, I don't know how old you are, but my generation, like, there is this thing about instant gratification, right? Like, you want something and you want it right now. So I am a Netflix binger. I can't not watch everything at once. And I think when it comes to investing, some people are like, okay, if I do this, I'm happy to invest, but I want my money now. I want the wealth now. I don't want to wait 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. And I think it's this expectation of having immediate results that is part of the problem when it comes to investing with younger people. Yeah.
And it's also hard when, the market does go down and you see the value of your savings fall, and it can send you into a bit of a panic. But, again, if you're going to invest, you have to look at it from a long-term view. And, the stock market has historically always gone back up again.
Yeah, and absolutely. And also what I say to people, right, is, so when the markets fall, people always come to me and like, oh my gosh, like, what are you thinking? Like, what are you going to do? Nothing. Like, markets go up and down all the time. And also, if I am not selling and exiting at that low point, then I don't care. It's not really a loss because, if the market's up here and it falls down here, and so long as I don't sell, then it can go back up. I don't care whether it goes up and down. The only thing that matters is the point that you sell your investments. If you sell when the market is down, well, then yes, you've crystallized a loss. But if you're not selling, then it can go up, down, sideways. Like, I'm not bothered. And that's what I remind people. I don't even look most of the time. And I try to encourage other people not to look either. As you said, it's about long-term investments. So if Humble Crumble is, I guess, ultimately your main wealth building machine, you do have investments on the side, as you said, which is very, very prudent. Where do you see it going? Like, what is your vision? How big do you want it to be? Bearing in mind that you haven't taken on investment yet. And will that change? Might you consider taking on some investment?
I don't know, is the answer to all of those questions. And I think that's sort of my approach to business in general. Is I just like there's strategy, of course, and there's planning, but I don't like to have like super long-term plans, because I just like that flexibility to be able to change things as and when they need to be changed. I mean, the landscape around running a business changes all the time. So it's not always that easy to plan for. I think that we would take on investment if there were a lot of opportunities that came up that were genuinely really good opportunities, and we didn't have the cash to open all of them at the same time or fulfill those opportunities at the same time. And we'd really want to be like, okay, in order to do that, we'd have to hire a lot more people. We'd have to make sure they were like really high caliber people as well. So there's a case for finding investment. And, I do talk to investors because I like the idea of talking to investors when you don't need money and building those relationships and understanding, we were going to take investment, who has the same sort of values as us.
Yep.
And there are a lot of investors who are like, we just want the business to grow. We want the business to do well. We want to have a really fun business that we're part of, rather than we want to make loads and loads of money from this. I think as long as people want it to grow, as long as there's demand for it in different areas, I think we'll try and
keep it as is.
Cater to them. Like, I think it's hard to know, because as I said, I want Humble Crumble to stay special. So I don't think it's going to be something that there's going to be a Humble Crumble in every corner. But I think in maybe key cities, it'd be nice to have a presence there, because we keep getting asked to open in lots of different places around the world, actually. So if it makes sense, then we'll do it. But if it doesn't, then we won't. So I don't know the answer to that yet.
No, I love that approach, because sometimes you meet people, and particularly with a lot of outside pressure, it's like just grow at all costs. But I really like the fact that, you kind of want to stay true to who you are as well. You want to grow, but at a pace that you can kind of keep up with the profit that you're generating. I think people who do that do build businesses more slowly, just naturally, because you have less capital, so you can't open as many different places. But I do think fundamentally, sometimes you can actually build better businesses.
Yeah, I mean, also, if you grow too quickly, you end up, you may not know how that's being perceived, and
and more importantly, all of the equity is yours.
All the equity is mine. Yeah, I think giving up equity is something people should really think long and hard about. Like, do you need to give up equity? Because it's very hard to get it back once you do. And you're not just getting money, you're losing control. And you may have someone who's like, what about what I think on this? And for some people that's great. It's not yet been for me.
Yep. No, fair enough. As I said, I think one of the things that's really stood out for me from this conversation is the fact that you have been actively, investing. It is something that you haven't forgotten about, or you're sort of saying, oh, it will come later once the business is more successful. It's like you're prioritizing both, or both, mean as much to you, the business, but also making sure that you have that financial stability as well. And as I said, it's quite rare to see, particularly in early stage founders.
But we are also like a fortunate story in the sense that, like, I know some fashion businesses that are doing higher revenues than us, but they don't have the cash flow to be able to, the cash flow, they're constantly needing that money to buy more stock in the way that we're not. And so even though we may make less revenue, it's
just a more efficient business.
More efficient.
So there's money to.
And so like we have the ability, like we're running a good business. And so we're able to do that. And if, I'm not saying the other ones aren't good businesses, I came out wrong, but not every founder can do it yet.
Yep. No, absolutely. I think, as I said, your story is so inspiring. I kind of find it refreshing. It's just like a different way to build and run a successful business from, what you typically see online and in the papers, like raise funding, grow as fast as you can, et cetera, et cetera. So if there's anyone out there who's watching this, and maybe they have an idea, and maybe like you, they're like, no, someone must have thought about that. Surely it's like too simple. It's too obvious. What is it that you'd want them to know? And also about your journey, someone out there, maybe they're you in those early days where you had this idea in your head. What would you want them to know?
Well, first of all, I'd say read The Lean Startup, because it just gives you the entire blueprint.
That's your blueprint, right? You literally copy the book.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm going to be parroting what it's saying, but essentially a business is started by like the first step, and then you take another step and you take another step, and then you're like running. It's a lot of small decisions that compound and make a bigger business, and you hire people. It's like a series of small steps. So even though a business may seem like this daunting thing, so the advice is, it's not just my advice, is just start. And even don't start with a fully formed business plan. Start with an idea and see if the idea has traction, and if you get feedback from that, change it and see if that idea has like more traction. A changed idea, and
pivot and keep
pivoting.
Yep.
Exactly.
And I think also stay the course if you can. I think there were many points along your journey where you could have stopped. A lot of people would have stopped, but you kept going.
Yeah, I think I do look at my founder years as being more of a scientist and just being like, I have a hypothesis that a crumble bakery would be a good idea. It didn't work today, but what reason was there that that I can point to that didn't work, can I change that? And can I keep changing that? Can I keep changing that? As long as there was something that I could keep changing, I was like, I haven't fully tested that this doesn't work.
Absolutely. I think those are some good points for us to end on. I think if I just summarize them, it's just start, pivot if you have to, be determined, have that perseverance. There will be many opportunities, but also many hurdles that come your way. And then consider not taking the funding. If you can, or you have the business and you can generate enough money, don't necessarily be led astray or swayed by, the powers that be and all of the press and things that are out there that are always like, raise funding. You might build a slower business, but ultimately it could be a better business.
And also I'd say find people that you can trust to ask advice from.
Okay.
Because there's been people that, I've spoken to who've offered investment, etc. And, they've really not offered them on good terms. And
do you think they're trying to be opportunistic?
They're trying to be opportunistic. Yeah. They don't necessarily believe in the business, etc. And for me, I'd be like, I wouldn't trust my guts. Like, that person's not right. But I've also been lucky that I've had people who've been able to be like, I don't think that person has your best interest at heart.
Yeah. No, I think that's important. I've had other guests, and I think one of the common themes is you need to have a network of people around you that you can go to, that you can ask for advice, that will give you genuinely good insights and things, people that you can trust, because none of us build successful businesses alone. It is a team effort. And I don't just mean sort of team within the company. There is a wider team as well.
It takes a lot of people.
It takes a village. It's like having a baby. It takes a village.
I say that. I'm like, it is. I haven't had a baby to explain.
I've got two. Trust me, it takes a village and then some. Online sales or bricks and mortar?
Bricks and mortar.
Reinvest or take profit?
Reinvest.
Go viral or build slow?
Slow.
Food passion or food business?
Passion.
Scale up or stay boutique?
I don't know what the difference is.
So scale up means open as many different stores as you can everywhere. Boutique is one over here, one over here.
Really? I've always thought I was running a scale up. Maybe I'm running a boutique. A boutique then.
All right, perfect. Yeah. Thank you so much for joining me, Kim. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Me too. Thank you.